And I should warn you that I'll be cracking down very hard, panelistas, on any mention of the war. Don't mention the war. You have been warned. How upset are the Germans about the 1966 World Cup?
Well, very, I would say. Well, they would be, for surely, I would have thought, a proud nation like the Germans.
They were upset at the time, but I said, how upset are they? They barely remember it. If you asked every German who won the World Cup in 1966...
Yeah, they're pretending.
No, because the fact is...
World Cup? No, I don't know.
No, because we care about it, they don't. They care about their scores against Holland. That's their big thing. They really, honestly, if you ask the average German, they're just... 66. They really don't know. Oh, did you? Well done. You know.
International.
For us, it was like everything. Wow, we won. But they, in 1974, beat the Dutch, and that, to them, was the one they really, really care about.
But they surely, the Dutch have never provided a great deal of opposition to them. Generally, in history, they've just walked into Holland whenever they fancied it.
Oh, in that sense.
Any time they want, they just go into Holland, which is just like spin the windmills at them. I haven't mentioned it yet. I was talking about the great Geschmertzflip in 1762, where they just walked into Holland, but they can just enter... Oh, I'll mention the War of Holland. You have to. Surely they're denying their true rivalry, which will be with us.
Why
they're in denial.
We may think that, but it's up to them to decide. I mean, you can't force a
wrong.
German to care about whether they beat us or not.
Well, they bloody well should.
Yes. I'm sure you're very upset by it, but, I mean, they just don't care that much. There's a class of ethnic immigrant now long established in America known as Pennsylvania Dutch. Where do you think they originally came from?
Germany.
Yes. The Rhineland and Switzerland.
See, I double bluffed you
Exactly, very good. But why would they be called Dutch?
Because the Americans can be bothered.
No, because they rightly recognise the word Dutch and Deutsch are the same word. Deutsch is Dutch.
Right.
And it was partly because what we now call the Dutch, the Hollanders, were at war with Britain many times and indeed, of course, invaded
You mentioned
England.
the war.
At war with, not the war.
You did.
It's a minefield. Oh, my Lord. Goering, in particular, of all the high echelon Nazis, loathed nudism and spoke out against it and said that the police must be trained to stop anybody going naked. But after that period, which must not be mentioned, sprang up again. And now in Switzerland and places where there's an open border, in Poland, for example, hordes of naked German hikers are crossing the border and going hiking, and the Poles don't like it, the Swiss hate it, they all find it disgusting.
They love it in Germany, don't they?
And not only, of course, in beaches, but in the centre of Munich, the English Garden, the Englischer Garten, has a nudist area, and the biggest park in Berlin, the Tiergarten, has a nudist area too. Can't really imagine Hyde Park having a nude area, can you? Can you?
Because if you're a naturist in this country, I mean, it's just, you're on a hiding to nothing, aren't you?
It's not really the country for it.
It's not, no, it's not designed. It's really asking for punishment, aren't you? I mean, Germany does have decent summers, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
You know, if it doesn't, it just expands to somewhere where the summers are bit... Come on, man.
No, What did Uncle Wiggly Wings ever do for Germany?
It sounds like a children's character, Uncle Wiggly Wings.
Well, he was someone who helped children. What are we looking at here? We're looking from a high point down on children who are looking...
Abandoned orphans calling for a helicopter to please airlift me out of here.
Airlift is a good word. Stick with the word airlift. What does airlift in Germany bring to mind?
Berlin.
The Berlin airlift.
The war.
No, it doesn't. It's not the war. The Cold War you can mention, all right.
When they blockaded
Berlin.
West Berlin.
Yes, the Russians completely closed off the city of Berlin, which was in their sector, the eastern sector, in 1948. And for over a year, Berlin was completely cut off from the rest of the world. And so they dropped food, millions of tons of food, the Americans, the British, so on, dropped it. And there was an American pilot who had 2 sticks of gum, and he gave it to some kids, and he said, if you'd share it amongst each other, I'll come back tomorrow and I'll give you more candy. And so when he flew over the last time, he wiggled his wings over them and dropped some chocolate. And he'd do this each day. More and more children came, and it took on and became a huge propaganda coup for over a year. And it was called Operation Little Victuals. And children in America provided their own candy, and of course the candy corporations caught on. And huge tonnage of sweets.
It sounds lovely, but do you imagine a Terry's chocolate orange heading down at you at great speed?
Ah, but you see what that boy's holding out there is the little hanky-style
That's no
parachutes.
match for the Terry's chocolate orange.
Of course, the chocolate orange could have landed like the bouncing bomb that it did in the war.
Oh, no.
If a chocolate orange were to land like a bouncing bomb, that would be a good thing, because if you hit it, it would go boom.
It would be lovely,
It would just
wouldn't
open up nicely,
Oh,
wouldn't
it'd
it?
be gorgeous. Who wrote Brideshead Revisited?
Well, it's even more.
Sorry. That was, yes. Of course he did, Evening War, Brideshead, of course he did. I was just checking whether or not you'd remembered not to mention
It's not
wars.
pronounced like that, is it? It's Evening Waff.
No, if only it were. Now, lastly, what happens in Germany at 11/11 on the 11th of November every year?
Everything carries on as normal.
No, there is something special happens.
The 11th of September.
11th of November. 11/11 on the 11th of
Phone rings and the British Prime Minister says, we won. Which war, though? Which war was that?
Yeah, well, it is, of course, we celebrate on the 11th of the 11th. The armistice of the First World War, but they don't celebrate the armistice of the not surprisingly. They have a much older celebration that takes place there, oddly enough. It's their carnival, and it runs all the way from the 11th of November right through to Ash Wednesday. And it's a huge, as I say, it goes on, I mean, it starts quite slowly in November, there's December, and there's Christmas, and then through January, and then reaches fever pitch at the time of Mardi Gras. Auf dem letzten Platz, Gott in Himmel, mit minus 76. Sherlock!
Thank you.